Welcome back to Simple Quant. Today we will discuss Screwy Pirates, a problem inspired by a practical guide to quantitative finance interviews. Let's get started. The five-person pirate squad of Argh, Big Booty, Chris, Doobgoob, and Espinoza have secured a treasure of 100 coins, but they now must decide how to share the treasure. They've come up with the following rules. The oldest pirate proposes a way to share the loot. All pirates then vote on the proposal, and it's accepted if there is at least a 50% majority vote. If the proposal is rejected, i.e. they don't receive the 50% vote, the oldest pirate is banished and the process restarts with one less pirate. All pirates are perfectly rational. They value their lives first and money second. They do not care about banishing their comrades. How will the treasure be divided in the end? I've drawn out our five pirates right here. We have Argh, Big Booty, Chris, Doobgoob, and Espinoza, labeled A, B, C, D, and E for simplicity. Now this problem is pretty daunting, so let's start with what we know. We are told the pirates are perfectly rational, and this implies all players know the optimal strategy of other players and will base their own strategy off this knowledge. This is a concept often found in game theory. We are also told that the pirates prioritize their survival first, so they don't want to be banished, and then after that they'll maximize treasure. And this will come into play later on. So, before we tackle the five-person case, let's try to tackle the two-person case. This will help simplify the problem and see where we can build from there. So in the two-person case, we have one younger pirate and one older pirate. In this case, pirate B is the older one. And that means B makes the proposal. So what are some options for B? He can offer A to split 50-50, or he can take all the money for himself. So let's see what happens if he takes all the money for himself. If he takes all the money for himself, then he still gets the majority vote. He just votes for himself. So we have B votes yes and A votes no. But in this case, this is still a 50% majority. So whatever B does, if he votes for himself, the outcome is what he wants. So in this case, since he knows A can't do anything about it, he's going to take all the coins. So B takes 100 and A takes 0. Alright, that's our two-person case, and we'll build on this later. So now looking on to our three-person case, we now have Pirate C as the oldest pirate. Now if Pirate C proposes the same he takes 100 coin strategy as before, this presents an issue for him, because A and B both don't want that, and the votes will be 2-1 against him, and he'll get banished. Now the optimal strategy here is actually to play upon the fact that he knows what happens if he's gone. If he knows he gets voted out, he then knows that it reduces to the two-person scenario and B will get all the money. So no matter what, he knows if he gets voted out, A loses and B wins. So he can use this to his advantage and actually give some money to A to make sure A votes for him. So in this case, if he gives person A 1 coin, A does better than he would have done otherwise. If C gets voted out, A gets nothing, but if C stays in, A gets 1 coin. So what happens here is that A and C vote yes, and B votes no, but the actual outcome is C gets 99 coins, A gets 1 coin, and B gets 0. Here, C got the most coins while still getting the majority vote. Now let's see what happens in the four-person case. Now in this problem, D is now the one making the proposal. And in the same way that we thought about the other problems, we can approach this one as well. Let's see what happens if D gets voted out. If D gets voted out, we are now reduced to the three-person case, and C gets 99 coins, A gets 1, and B gets 0. That means in any scenario where D gets voted out, it'll reduce to the three-person, and B will lose. So D knows this now because he's perfectly rational, and he knows B wants some money. If D gets voted out, B gets nothing. So he knows B would want something from him. So in this case, D will give something to B, and that will be another 50% majority vote. So what happens here is D and B both vote positively, while A and C vote against. But if D gives anything to B, he'll be better than if he voted out D. So this is what happens. So the final outcome is D gets 99, B gets 1, and C and A both get 0. So this is what happens in the 4-person outcome. And now finally, we're ready to tackle our 5-pirate case. In this problem, now E is the oldest, so E gets to make the proposal. So let's see what happens. We can now approach part 5 as we did all the other cases. If E gets voted out, we get reduced down to the 4-pirate case, in which case C and A get nothing, D gets 99, and B gets 1. However, E now knows that he doesn't want to get voted out, and E knows that he can play on the fact that A and C both get nothing if he leaves, and he'll pay them to get their votes. So what actually happens here is that E, A, and C all vote yes, while B and D vote no, and the final outcome is E gets 98, and A and C each get 1, while B and D each get 0. This is our final outcome for what happens in the 5-pirate case. So let's see our final answer. Our final answer is that Pirate E will get 98 coins and that Pirates A and C will get 1 coin each. And while it sounds bizarre, all pirates actually survive. Thank you guys for listening. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and thank you very much.